Hey everyone, it's me, Andy. Sorry I wasn't able to update last night, got a little busy. Anyways, I appreciate the support and ideas from everyone. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell we're being stalked by. Hopefully, we can figure it out so we can find some way to defend ourselves from it. It's getting worse, as it seems to be getting smarter and bolder. I'll pick up where I left off the other night now, so you guys are more up to speed on what's happening. As soon as we heard the thing outside mimic Ryan, you could literally see the color drain from Ryan's face. I think the color drained from all of our faces, but Ryan was definitely the most disturbed. Did it just copy me? What does that mean? Ryan's eyes darted frantically from Arthur's to ours. God damn it, boy, shut up! Arthur whispered. Tears streamed down Ryan's eyes as he sat in terror. The room felt dead silent as we listened for any movement out of the window. It was quiet, too quiet. Anyone that's been out in the country knows that even at night you can hear an owl or coyotes yelping. This wasn't the case though. Even the steady breeze that had been blowing seemed to stop and fall silent. Nobody move! Arthur whispered so quietly I barely heard him, as he slowly tiptoed to the window. All our eyes followed him closely as he crossed the room, stopping at the window, giving us a quick glance before grabbing the curtains tightly. He then slowly pulled them aside, letting us gaze out the window. We couldn't see anything at all. Whatever eyes glowed in the tree line were gone now. Arthur kept rotating his head back and forth, scanning the property. I don't see nothing, Arthur whispered. Just as the words left his mouth, something slammed into the window hard, causing it to crack all over. Fuck! Ryan shouted as he jumped 5 feet in the air. Arthur barely flinched, grabbing the rifle slung over his shoulder. He took aim at the window. We stood in silence yet again, waiting for something to happen. We waited a solid 10 minutes before Tommy finally spoke. Did it throw something? Looks like it, Arthur said as he reached down and unlocked the window. Hey man, what are you doing? I asked instinctively, backing up further from the window. He didn't answer, just slowly opened the window and pushed the outside screen out. He slowly leaned out of the window and reached down to grab whatever it was that hit the window. I expected something to run by and yank him out the window at any second, but it never did. After just a few seconds, Arthur pulled himself back in the window, holding something big in his hands. What is it? Tommy asked nervously. Looks like a dog or a coyote skull, Arthur replied as he turned it over. Jesus Christ, Tommy muttered. It was this time I noticed the breeze from earlier had returned, and I could hear the occasional owl hoot in the distance. It made me feel much more relaxed as the heavy feeling of dread began to subside as well. You boys have a weapon of some sort? Arthur looked from one to the other. I have a small pistol, Tommy said as he pulled out his gun to show him. That a Ruger 22? Arthur asked. Yep, Tommy said proudly. The hell, boy? That's gonna piss it off is all. Arthur shook his head. He reached to his side and unfastened his own pistol, tossing it to me. Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum. You know how to use one of those? I've used one once or twice, I lied, holding it in front of me like it was a dirty tissue. It holds 6 rounds, fully loaded. That thing shows up, put all 6 in if you have to, he said as he turned to walk out the door. Where are you going? I asked in a panic. I've got some calls to make, and we all need some rest. I suggest you boys do your best to get a little more shut-eye. He didn't wait for a response as he shut the door behind him, leaving us alone in the room scared out of our minds. We all chatted nervously before deciding to rotate, taking naps once again. It was 3:30 a.m., and the sun wasn't going to come up for another 4 hours, so there wasn't much more we could do. The first one to keep guard was Ryan, me and Tommy doing our best to catch a little sleep. I must have dozed off pretty quick, because the next thing I know, Tommy's shaking me awake once again. Dude, Ryan's gone, Tommy shouted. What? What do you mean? I looked around the room for any sign of Ryan. Look, Tommy shouted as he pointed at something. I looked to where he was pointing, and when I saw it, a deep pit formed in my stomach. The window was wide open. I ran to it and looked out. It was still dark, but the light from our room was enough for me to look down and see footprints. That started right at our window. As you could see, he hopped out and they led straight into the fucking woods. Fuck, I screamed, putting my hands on my head. I looked over and seen Tommy was on the phone, calling Arthur, I assumed. I shouted Ryan's name as loud as I could, but was met with silence. My heart was hammering in my chest. Ryan has been my best friend since middle school, and I couldn't stand the thought of losing him. Just as I was about to climb out the window to go search for him, Arthur came barging into the room. "The fuck you doing, boy?" he bellowed. "Ryan's out there, I gotta find him." Tears rolling down my own face now. "More like get yourself killed," he roared. "I'm not leaving my friend," I was now shouting in anger. I was not going to leave my friend out in those woods alone. This was my fault. We were in this mess and I'd be damned if I was just gonna let whatever that thing was take him. "I'm coming too," Tommy said quietly. Arthur looked back and forth between the both of us before sighing heavily. "Look, I get it. I really do. But you have to wait for it to get light out." I looked over at the clock sitting on the stand next to the bed. 6:49 a.m. That's another half hour at least. What if he's gone by then? I threw my hands in the air. "If you leave now, you won't make it 20 minutes out there. I promise you that," he said flatly. "Wait till daylight and I'll come with you, damn it." "Shouldn't we, call the sheriff or something? Get a search party?" Tommy asked nervously. "Ain't no one gonna step foot in those woods," Arthur chuckled. Tommy looked at me, and he looked as defeated as I felt. Fuck, we were in this alone. Well, except Arthur. At least we had him. "Why are you gonna go in this woods if everyone's so afraid of them?" I asked curiously. Arthur looked away, over towards the window. "I've got my reasons," was all he said. I decided not to pry any further and leave him be. My guess was that he lost someone close to that thing. "I'm gonna go pack us some supplies. Might be out for a while," Arthur said as he turned and walked out the door. Tommy shuddered as the room was getting cold, so he walked over and shut the window. Just as he got ready to shut it, he froze. "Dude, what the fuck?" he whispered, waving me over. I got up and raced to see what he was looking at. I looked to the tree line and immediately a lump in my throat formed. Ryan was standing right in the beginning of the trees, standing stiff as a board. His body turned to the left, seemingly staring at nothing. I was about to start shouting his name when my gut instinct told me to stay quiet. The sun was starting to come up, and it lit Ryan up enough so that even though he wasn't facing us, I could see the bright whites in his eyes. Then, out of nowhere, he quickly bent backwards, his feet never moving, but his body bent at a 90-degree angle, staring directly up at the sky. "The fuck?" Tommy whispered so quietly I barely heard him even though he was a foot away. As soon as he finished his words, Ryan's neck made a loud popping noise as his head shot our way. His eyes were pure white, and as he saw us, he let out the same horrible screech I'd heard the first time. After he screeched, he took off running back into the woods, faster than any human should be able to move. Tommy and I stared at each other, with our mouths hung open in shock. We shut the window and sat back down on the beds. Both of us didn't speak. In shock at seeing our friend like that, I was starting to second guess our decision to go out in those woods, but quickly cursed myself for being a coward. Ryan needed our help, and I wasn't about to give up hope. We decided not to tell Arthur about what we'd seen, just in case he decided there was no use in looking for Ryan anymore. We didn't know if he turned into one of those things, or if it was just posing as Ryan, like the one the first night, posing as Arthur, or last night the sheriff. Either way, we kept our mouths shut. Another hour or so later, and Arthur, Tommy, and I were ready to head out. We were all understandably nervous, but went through with it anyway. Arthur packed some snacks and water, and a tent as well, just in case we got lost and ended up spending the night out there. He also grabbed a shotgun, along with his rifle, for extra defense. We were about to start our terrifying hike through the woods to try and find our friend. If I'd have known the shit we were walking into, I never would have left that damn motel. Then again, not like we can leave anyway. Sorry, but this is all I have time to update today. But I'll be back tomorrow to post about the scariest night of my life.